To round up for today's topic, I've used the phrase "the camera never lies" repeatedly. It's the title of the course, and I'm sure by the end of it you'll be fairly fed up with me saying it yet once more. Nevertheless, here we have an issue, the most notorious issue in the history of falsification of images, about why Stalin would go to these lengths to preserve the facade of his primacy during the Lenin period, so that historically he appeared to be the natural successor to Lenin after his death, and secondly how he wanted to appear, if not infallible, then certainly not to be associated by those who had proved to be fallible and no longer were in keeping with the party line as they went through. Now, the point I've raised earlier in this particular seminar is it must have been obvious to the Soviet public, and my opening comments suggest that this was widely known. Nevertheless, could you show dissent? Could you actually openly comment on this in Stalinist Soviet society? Not in public. There are instances, and again I refer back to Dr. Waterlow's seminar, which you can listen to the podcast on this site, of people 2 or 3 years after the event being prosecuted for treasonous libel, for disloyalty to the party, for cracking jokes at the expense of the Soviet hierarchy. My initial thought in hearing that seminar was perhaps it was the NKDV who couldn't take the joke, but it gives you an idea of the level of paranoia and necessary self-censorship for those people to negotiate what was happening during the Stalinist era. Now, just to round up, I have a couple of web pages which you'll find on the site. One's from The Guardian, and it's from December of 2010, and it's referring to the fact that Russia has not perhaps sufficiently airbrushed out Stalin from their record. So the phrase airbrushing out of history is still current, and here is actually applied back. But I mentioned a little bit earlier about the rehabilitation of Stalin, and something that National Public Radio referenced in 2009, that in fact Stalin's grandson, prompted by another zealot, sued for defamation and on the argument that Stalin was not responsible for the deaths and the killings within the Soviet Union under his rule. Now, I do take it as being something of, not a farce, but it shows a measure to which the point I made before, the need for the strong leaders of the past to be respected, that whether Stalin was directly responsible for the deaths, whether he gave orders or not, it happened on his watch. Now, I think we're reasonably convinced from the historical record that Stalin was well aware of the implications of his decrees, etc. Yet we have a court case, again, trying to change the way that perceptions work. So one way or the other, Joseph Stalin's legacy seems to be going through a transformation in modern Russia, just in the same way that he tried to change his perception during his own lifetime and his own leadership of the USSR.